All right, everyone. Let's get this party started. I'd like to just kind of get things kind of online, and I know that I'm not Judd, but let's try and get some energy up in here and get everybody moving. So we'll start the meeting off here. First of all, just going over some of the, while I admit people, some of the etiquette on the site on our call here today. First, let's just make sure that we, if you guys want to chat, we have a phenomenal chat area there. If you guys just click on the chat button, you guys can communicate with each other. Next, we have a reactions button. So if you're positive on something, or if you like what somebody's saying, we got hearts and thumbs ups and a bunch of stuff you guys can use. And the other part would be, we'd love to start out with some wins for the week between last Wednesday and this Wednesday. So let's start there if that's possible. Anybody got a hand up there? You got it, Victor. Let's go, brother.
So not that you noticed, but last week I wasn't on the call. I was on the phone with my one win. I got Rochester School for the Deaf. So my boss at my current job is on the board of directors. So I went in, I did a full disclosure. Look, I worked for this company for 30 years. He misunderstood. He thought I did work for that company for 30 years. So I clarified, and I called me 2 days later, said, Victor, your project's been approved. It's a $27,000 job. And I said, okay. We had two phone calls. I said, how was I competitive? He goes, you were there, but you were the highest. I go, okay, how does that work? I go, well, you did something people don't do. Your presentation was excellent. You came in, you did your thing, and then you came back and walked the ground with me. You gave a crap, and I'm calling you not to ask you any questions, because when you left, you answered all my questions. And I'm just calling you now to let you know everything's good to go. So
Wow.
when can you start? He goes, I said, well, ask the weather. So I'm starting some repairs on Friday, and I'm using some new product. I've been experimenting with one which I'm worried about. It's called American Road Patch. So I'm testing that out. I may not use it, and I'm using another product for some areas, Fast Patch. Not
So
the.
let me ask you something. One of the things that Judd always says is, so it works. So actually providing value, going there, providing the value for the customer, they actually went the highest price because you provided the value that they were looking for. Am I right there?
Yes, my insurance lady is calling me, and I need to up my insurance. So I'm going to let someone else talk and get off here real quick.
Appreciate you, Victor. Thanks,
Okay.
brother. Congratulations.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, Maria,
All right.
stand by.
Anybody else up for a win for the week? Let's go. No one. No wins? Zero? I'm sure there's
I think we need to get
there.
some energy up. Matthias, pick someone to do
not everybody all at once.
I did my
let's do
first
some
seal coat
warm-ups.
job.
Woo! Let's
I'll jump
go.
in. We start not the first of the season. we kicked up our season on Monday with seal coat job. So excited to get things moving and get all the machines dusted off, get everything rocking and rolling. A little bit of a learning curve. We had a couple of guys call off work, and ended up being a real long day, but we got it done. Everything looked great. So my win was just getting the seal coating season started, and first of a in a series of U.S. bank jobs that actually came through Asphalt Kingdom. So it was a referral through Asphalt Kingdom, and Judd and I kind of worked on them together.
That is awesome, man.
I think we're gonna do like maybe 10 or 15 of these this year. Yeah. The bank ones. Yeah. So it's nice to get the first one on the books.
What equipment did you use, Alex? Did you get your new tank down there yet?
New seal coater?
Yeah, did you get that down there yet?
No, I haven't ordered a new tank. Yeah, I got a 700-gallon system. It wasn't that big of a parking lot. It was like 13,000 square feet. but it had a lot of striping on it. And one of our stripers broke. Both of our crack melters broke. So we had two employees didn't show up, and our two push melters both wouldn't work correctly. And one of the line stripers took a dump, so I had to do 3 colors with one line striper, which just puts you through the paces. That's all. Just makes for a long day.
We call those cobwebs in Michigan.
Pardon?
I said we call those cobwebs. Got to get the cobwebs out first, you know.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff was supposed to be taken care of. Like I would just, put out a message to everybody is getting ready for your season, and just make sure everything's running correctly. My team was supposed to clean out the melters so they were working properly, but they weren't cleaned out the best, and so we rolled into the first job with some issues. So it's just a reminder to everybody to get your stuff ready for the season. And the paint machine, I'm repairing my other paint machine now, because both of the prime valves got clogged with paint. It was left with paint in the system, and it wasn't cleaned out properly, and it solidified in the elbow. The elbow on one of them, the intake elbow, and the other one was the dump hose for the prime valve. They got clogged. So both of them were prime valve issues, or prime lines. But I'm getting it sorted out right now. I'm just going back to my shop right now to fix the repairs.
That's a bad way to find out about it on a job site, though. I tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually where you find out. when you're using it, right? Like,
yeah.
So
Pre-use inspections.
There's some education for my team around cleaning out stuff properly after it's being used and whatnot. But yeah, the job turned out great. Looked nice at the end. I was proud of the work we did. And
so make a long story short, it's good to make sure that the equipment is detailed clean after the job is done, right?
Yeah. Everything needs to be washed out correct, especially with the line stripers. It's super important. If you don't clean them out, I mean, like a lot of people that are running oil-based paints, they'll just leave it in all season long. We run water-based paint, and if you take that primer valve and stuff out of a water bin and you just let it sit there, it's gonna solidify in the line. So just treating your equipment properly so that you don't run into issues in the field. I mean, that's literally can turn it like a really easy job into a bad day, when your equipment breaks in the field.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it's always important to have 2 of everything.
Right.
You gotta have 2 of everything.
Well,
If that's your only line
on that win.
striper, and imagine you only had one crack melter and it broke, or one line striper. Having redundancy is super important. It might slow you down, but it's not going to stop you from completing the job. So
Awesome.
That'd be my advice. Make sure everybody, obviously when you're starting out, and money's a pretty big factor, but once you're established, get that redundancy going. Order a second striper, order a second crack melter, order a second backpack blower or a push blower or whatever it is, so that you're ready. You can be more productive, and if something goes down, it doesn't stop you from completing the job.
Right.
But
awesome. All right,
that's
Alex.
it.
I'm going to give a couple of the other guys here a shot. Appreciate your feedback, and hopefully everybody took some notes on those gems that he dropped there for sure. So I got sales at Apex Striping. Let's go, brother. By the way, just before you go, make sure that everybody puts their name up there so we can all tell who you are. I see your email. This is great. Just add your email in, or your name in before it too, so we know who we're talking to. Thanks, brother. All right.
Hey, how everybody doing? The win for me, I guess it would be I got called out for a beachfront resort seal coating job, and I passed it over to Coach Dom, and now me and him going to work together getting a proposal out for it. So it's a pretty big job. So hopefully we be able to land it, and I'll be able to just gain some more knowledge with working with Coach Dom in the seal coat industry. So that's pretty much the win for me.
Amazing. Awesome, brother. That's amazing. Congratulations. And Dom is a great dude. He's going to get you the right information that you need to make sure you land that.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Great, man. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
All right. We got Michael, right? Michael, you're up, brother. You can hit that mute button there.
Can y'all hear me now?
We got you, man. We got you.
Hey, man. Y'all doing all right this week?
Phenomenal. By the way, just before you head off, you got there's so much attention on what you talked about last week, and I can't tell you enough about how thankful we are for your voicing what you learned at that weekend and the energy you brought on our last call. So appreciate it. Just wanted to throw that out for you.
Well, man, I appreciate that, and I'm still going off that energy, and like Judd said something about, you'll have something, you'll be going and going and going real strong, and then stuff will happen. You'll be like, man, I got to keep pushing through. So, man, just so I don't lull this week, went into the vault and I printed off the pages because it's a lot easier for me to read off pages than the technology. I'm not really all that good with it. I gave up on building my own website the other day, and I talked to some young kid a young man, Matthew Villocks, that I met down there that did his website. He's going to help me out with that. And I was thinking, man, I got to work on this pacer assessment. You know what I mean? I got to learn this assessment better. You know what I mean? Where do I get that information from? And then I get an email saying, hey, guess what? We're going to be coaching a class on this. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm just excited. And y'all bring excitement to me. Just hearing people share, seeing Tevin and them out there, man, he's getting it, man. And other people, I'm just excited to be a part of this. So I appreciate the energy y'all give me just by being here and sharing. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Really. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We're here for you.
Hey, Mateus.
Yes, sir.
What I want to do, I just want to just say what's up to the round table. I'm Donald Maddox from Georgia. This is I've been on Atlanta Landscape Management Group down here in Georgia for 25 years. And now we decided to go and go take a step notch up higher with the lot striping. And so I just want to say what's up to the round table. And I'm sitting here taking all this knowledge in, and I'm finna try to get things started down here in Atlanta.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, you and I talk quite often, and I'm looking forward to seeing some amazing things happening for you and your team there. That's going to be great.
I look forward to getting back on the round table with y'all and giving you some of my wins.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Appreciate you sharing, and we look forward to, like I said, a lot of those wins coming your way for sure. If there's anything we can do as a support, you got tons of people here. Take some of the email addresses, reach out, man. I know there's lots of people who work with you on projects, and maybe have projects you can work with them on as well.
Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Michael, you still had your hand up. Do you have another question, or did you have another win you wanted to share? You're still muted, just so you know. You're good? All right. All right, Mark, let's go, brother. Nice to see you on today.
Yeah. Hey, I don't have the numbers that some of you other folks do, but I did land a $20,000 job, and I got that done, and I got a $7,500 driveway from one of my landscaping customers, and so I've been pounding it, and it's working out. It's coming together.
So how long ago did you start, Mark? How long ago was it?
What's that?
How long ago did you start out? Just recently, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've just recently started. I would say I've been pounding the street for about 3 months, and I'm getting referrals off of the one $20,000 job. They're raving about it, and yeah, it's kind of taken off. So it's working out great.
That's awesome, man. What if you had to ask a question about something you may not understand or something that may be holding you back or held you back? What would that be? We got coaches on here that can answer questions for sure. Anything for them?
Well, not knowing what the numbers should be, what the square footage price should be. As you know, I've called you quite a bit, and you've always been there, and I appreciate that.
No problem at all.
Put together that and crack seal, gator patch, striping. Try to negotiate a few things, maybe throw in something, or ready to if I need to. Don't want to give it away if I don't have to, but so far it seems like it's the two jobs, the one I've done and the one I've already got contracted for, is going to be really profitable. And
fantastic.
I haven't been able to get seal coat up here in Boise, so I've ordered it from Asphalt Kingdom and had it shipped in, and it just kept me going. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome. Glad we could help for sure. That's awesome. Appreciate you, Mark. Thank you so much. All right. I know some of the coaches. That'll be Anthony and Skylar, and I don't know if Alex is still on or not, and Stephanie. I see Stephanie there. How you doing? So I know that you guys were going to be at least providing some great insight to today's call. I know we went through the wins here, but let's go. Who's got the lead on some great information they want to share today?
I don't know if there was a question in Mark's discussion there. Mark, did you have an individual question for a coach?
Oh, I haven't thought about it. I'm just sitting here kind of winding down from the day. But, there's always a question about square footage price, or I think I've got that figured out finally. And some bids I've thrown out there haven't got anything back, but others have got back to me and said, let's go with it. And sometimes you don't even know what the market is. You don't know where you're at. You're almost shooting in the dark. But I'm used to that too, a little bit, sales. So that's no problem. I can try to roll with that and justify the price too.
It sounds like you're doing really good. So yeah, you sound seasoned and like you've got a real grasp on it. I mean, knowing your numbers is knowing your numbers, not always necessarily the market numbers. Skylar is definitely the technician that I refer people to when they want a deep dive. So I would make sure that you connect with Skylar if you want to kind of do a precision training on what that should be. But I'm sure you have the nuts and bolts that it takes in order to facilitate some profit. But understanding your market will come in time, right? You know that.
Yeah, just starting to get a feel for it. Yeah.
Super excited to hear your initial success. I know that's really uplifting to a lot of people. What's going on with Skylar?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Better now.
Better now. Man, I think if there's one thing that anybody that's starting out or that hears this or whatever, right, is like it's almost amazing to me. Sometimes you hear guys in their second year and they're like, man, I want to do 75 grand or whatever it is. And, maybe their first year, they have these low expectations of like, do you really think I can make 50 grand in, my first season or my first thing? And guys, like, you see how doable it is. 3 months of him knocking doors and getting out there and doing it. And he's already made $30,000, give or take, right? 27 grand. And he's saying at extreme profitability. So for you guys that are like, starting out or want to push, or, I think a lot of people have a limiting belief when they get into this industry. They think that it's very hard for these numbers to add up. And again, I think it circles back to what we always say, and it becomes this like repetitive type thing about hunting the right jobs and doing the right thing that way, right? But when you genuinely do hunt the right jobs and hunt the right prospects, how quick it actually turns and how quick those numbers compound It's amazing. And it's just the simple fact of like, I know the analogy gets used all the time, but putting the marbles in the tube. How many marbles are you guys going to put in the one end of the tube to make them come out on the other side? Like, this has been a talk all day long. It was great. You know, we've had a lot of conversation around kind of this general feel and analysis, but if you guys genuinely just get started and continue, it is impossible for you guys to not get anything to come out on the other side.
Yeah, you've got to keep it going though. You're absolutely right. You've got to stay consistent. Stephanie knows consistency compounds, right? So that is absolutely what it takes. See, she just put it in the chat because she knows.
Very really put that. I was typing that as you were saying.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
So outside of putting the marbles in, what are some other things that people should do to stay excited in this preseason? Skylar, what else would you say?
Build culture with your team every day. Have these conversations every single day with your team and make sure this isn't just us feeding ourselves on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock, but this is us feeding one another every single day as this gets kicked off, because this conversation here is what changes the dynamic of 30 to 100 and 100 to $250,000 and $250,000 into 750 and 750 into multi-millions, right? Like, these things here, when you can continue to come to a place like this and be supported and then take that to your team and give that and deliver that to them in helping achieve A, the company's goals, and B, the employees' goals together, it becomes significantly easier for the consistency compound.
And everything, it kind of greases the wheels. You're right. You know, if both the company's being looked after and the individual employees are being looked after, it really does make a great network or a great partnership between the staff, the laborers, and the ownership. And you know, I hear it from, I'm a little bit older than some of you guys. I hear it from a lot of people that are older than me, and they're like, they talk about the workforce, and I quickly enter into conversation. Are you guys, what are you doing to create a workplace that people want to stick around at? So without some effort there, you can't just call people names and tell them that they're lazy and think that people in 2024 are going to stick around long term. Like, it's not true. So we've got to communicate. We've got to have open dialogue. It's got to be teamwork making the dream work. And without giving people a purpose, some of you young guys will not stick around in a place like that. And I don't fault you for that at all. I don't think that workplace exists successfully anymore. So I'm not saying it should be any other way than it is. But that is often the conversation that I have with people in this profession that want to complain that there's not enough workers out there. And I know Skylar is doing everything he can to have a great culture, and we were all able to witness that 10 days ago. Was that 2 weeks ago?
10 days. It's a week and a half.
Yeah,
week and a half to the, and yeah, guys, like, I think if there's one thing too, you know, like, it's still great to see Michael's energy on here and to see that exist, but I can say I've had conversations with a section of that group already where energy has already died, right? And we all fall back into life and we all get it back into the stress, and we're all super convicted in the very, very second. You have the group of doers, and this was a huge conversation. This is exactly how this conversation unfolded today, of exactly what I'm going to give to you guys, is you have the group of doers that they sit there and they continually reinvest. And they say, how do I get better? When's the next thing? How do I get in the room with more successful people? And then you get the people that get the quick pickup and then they fall back into the normal cycle, right? But that conversation of doers, They might not be the smartest person. They might not be the best in the room. They might not be, you know, always the most polished, but that person that can get up day over day over day and continually knock doors and build culture and learn and stay hungry are the people that will always outlast the group that doesn't.
Mm-hmm. The maintainers maintain, and it's a beautiful picture you paint. I would say it's almost like we talked about it in Pennsylvania, that there's a loss of momentum, right? What do we say? 99% of people that come to it, 90% are gonna fulfill Judd's fear of not taking it. So if you haven't been in the AK vault yet, you're behind. You're absolutely behind. I'm not afraid to say that. If you haven't explored the offerings that were provided to you 10 days out from that event, you are behind.
Anthony, you still use the vault to run your business?
We still use the vault to run our business. I just got off a coaching call freaking a half hour ago, and I said, you need to spend, I don't know what the amount of time is that you can put into it. Louis on here. I said, is it an hour a day? Is it 2 hours a day? Is it 3 hours a day? Whatever you decide. Every day, text me when you get done doing that increment of time and say, I did my homework for the day, and spend that period of time in the AK vault, going through the resources, learning the templates, learning the scripts. Because if you don't, you're going to struggle. 100% you're going to struggle without it. That's why it's there. It's there to be your guidance.
Yep. What else do these lovely people got to say? We got Miss Jeanette. What do you got for us? I know we can get some energy kicked up with Jeanette. She's always got something crazy stirring over there.
You probably just sold like $500,000 in seal coat work.
Almost. No, I had something strange happen to me for the first time the other day, and I don't know. I just want to talk about it, and it's done and over with, but it's still kind of like it's a lesson learned. So, but and I think I went about it the correct way. But I wanted to talk about it. So I got a driveway. There were some asphalt damages that needed to be taken care of, tripping hazard right by the steps. We did a remove and replace around the steps. The first day, she was very happy about it. She said it looked great, and she wanted us to seal coat and crack fill. And I did tell her beforehand that her driveway really needed to be removed and replaced. I could give her a price for a Band-Aid, and I could also give her a price for remove and replace. She didn't want to go with the remove and replace price, so she went with the Band-Aid price. There were a lot of cracks there. I told her we could put crack fill in them, but you would still see them. And while we were doing the asphalt that day, they went on ahead and did the crack fill. She was very happy with it. They did the seal coat the next day, and she went on ahead and met me and paid me and stuff, and the guys were finishing up. She called me back about an hour later and was like, we are not happy with this. And I asked her, I was like, well, what can we do to fix it? You know, what's going on? She said, well, you can see all this crack fill through the sealer. And I explained to her, I was like, you know, you're always going to, like I said before, you're always going to see the cracks. The crack fill is to mainly seal the cracks and make sure that water does not go into your cracks and form potholes. And she's like, no, aesthetics, it does not look good. I just don't like it. I said, well, I could come back out here for this amount. She said, what can we do to hide it? I went back out there and put another coat of sealer on there for her. And I told her, this is you're always going to see these cracks unless you remove and replace. I did give her a huge discount, gave her like a $3,000 discount for the remove and replace price, just to make up for, you know, what we had already done. But she's like, no, somebody else, I'll just get someone else to do it. But it's still like nagging at me. lesson learned, when people ask for crack fill on a driveway, show them a picture of what it's going to look like, and let them know aesthetically you're still going to see the crack fill. But did I handle this correctly? Like, what would y'all have done if you were in my shoes?
I got some. I'm really big on this, like, just because first thing, let me clarify. Everybody on this screen, welcome to residential. This is why it sucks. Okay. we know Jeanette's the commercial master. This is why $500,000 projects are fun. They pay you and they go away.
Right.
Second,
Yeah.
100%.
And you
This
did
is
nothing
residential
wrong.
through and through. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. This
nothing
is
wrong.
residential through and through. No. But I can say with residential, and if you want to get into that sector, which again, in the paving world and that type of stuff, it does make sense because you're not doing a driveway for 500 to 1,000. You're probably doing it for 7 to 10. But it's all about setting expectations. Every single thing, not that I'm proud to say that we still have that large of a residential sector, but like, we serve 500 residential customers a year at least, right? That's a minimum number. So we deal with this for us all the time, and it's all expectations. So adding now we have a preloaded image of crack fill that's already sealed in the crack fill spot. So as soon as it says crack filling, they know exactly what it looks like. And then we also, in the description of that, it's all defined out. We use our hot rubberized crack repair. Even though the crack filler is black and the sealer is black, there still will always be a quote unquote shadowing as seen in the picture described, right? And having all of those things. And that's with everything, because it's like every transaction that you do, whether it's with the sealer, whether it's with the crack fill, whether it's with cure time, whether it's with expectations with sun, whether it be tire marks or sealer on the edges of the grass or whatever it is, literally, it's all about a system and a process to set the expectation beforehand with a residential customer. Because those people genuinely, like, I mean, like, they have nothing better to do than to look at their 1,000 square foot driveway that they think $1,000 is life-changing on, where we have things that are better to do in a sense when we're serving these customers like that 10, 15 times in a day, or customers that are, hundreds of thousands or millions of square feet. But to them, a commercial customer says, is it done? Is it black? Does it look good? Good. Here's the check. Thank you, Miss Jeanette. The residential customer comes home and they're like, I don't know, $1,000. This is a lot of money. I need to scour every square inch. Because again, it is, what I refer to as the welcome mat of the home, right? It's still, I'm picky about it. We get into this debate even in the insurance realm a lot, where something will happen, someone will mess up their driveway and they'll be like, oh, just put crack filler on it. And I was like, no, like, if it was my driveway and I just paved it and someone messed up my driveway, I would not be happy with crack filler on a freshly paved driveway that I just spent 42 grand on. You know what I mean? I would want something different. I would want it to look seamless the way it was when I just paid 40 grand for it. So they do have a point, but it's all about setting the expectations, and you did nothing wrong. You did everything absolutely right, because we know you do good business, right? You wouldn't be doing what you did if you didn't do good business. So don't get beat up about that. But it's all about, and it's not about verbal communication. It's about written and visual communication with residential.
Documentation, 100%.
Yeah.
And I could see it. I'm going to say one thing. Oh, go ahead, Jeanette.
It's me. It's your wife. I just wanted to back off of what Skylar said, that you did nothing wrong. But I will tell you, because I've ran our office for so many years, use this as kind of what Skylar was saying. Use this as a teaching moment of what's lacking maybe in your deliverables or in your communication. Another reason why residential drives me crazy, and it's this, is because if you say something that, if you don't spell it out in black and white and they have room to question, they will. Another note is that seal coat material, no matter what, does not cure into rubber. So it's not going to adhere to that to that material, right? So they're going to see their cracks. So that's just a little note for everybody on here that's maybe new, but we've had that same thing happen before where people just think we're Houdini and we're going to make their cracks disappear. So yeah, I would definitely say like front end communication. Whenever you start to hear that now, that's like a red flag in your mind. Whenever you start to hear people with that tone, when you're proposing to just either one, pave their driveway or give them a Band-Aid, when you start to explain the Band-Aid, you gotta go like really into detail. Like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what you can expect. This is what you cannot expect. You're absolutely still going to see your cracks. People ask us all the time, like, for isolated driveway repair, well, am I going to see the repair? Like, am I going to see it? And we're like, absolutely. Yes, you are going to see the difference, because we want to make sure that they know that we're not going to make it look brand new. That's not how isolated repair or crack fill works. So, but you did nothing wrong. So shake it off. On to the next one.
I could see it on your face that you were carrying that. And so that's why I wanted to make sure you got some reassurance that you did nothing wrong. The difference that I picked up over time is the fact that in commercial, most of the time you're not talking to the property owner, you're talking to an agent of the property owner. They have a task list that they need to get the service line that you can provide off of their task list, and you're doing them a favor by helping them perform in their job. That's commercial. And then residential is this person has worked their whole life to obtain this asset. It's the most expensive thing they've ever purchased, and you're working on a part of it that they drive on with their car. So it's very different, and you get two different types of people in there. We're in a growth phase in our business right now. Michael McGowan's still on here. He gets to go and pave this driveway. I did a poor job of setting expectations with the client this week about time frame, and we haven't even reached the projected time frame yet, and the guy's asking me for a discount because it's taken too long. So it's just the way that it goes with residential, and it's one of those inherited, I don't want to call it an evil, because it's not an evil, but you'll constantly have to be reassessing and re-improvising your points. If you feel like you're having the conversation over and over again, that's the thing that you want to document. That's the thing that you want to put into the fine print in your contract. That's the thing that you want to put into your qualifying sheet. So the qualifying sheet for someone that says, you're like, do you need maintenance like crack fill and seal coat, or do you want repaving? Oh, I want crack fill and seal coat. Okay, are you anticipating on seeing your cracks after we perform the services? No, I don't want to see the cracks. Then okay, we can't do what you just asked, and we have to repave your driveway if you want it to be one smooth consistency. So asking those questions on the front end help you be able to tie that back, and then having it documented in your contract is kind of the end all be all of how to get that thing away from you.
I think one more thing too, Anthony, that like, again, everybody knows I enjoy numbers and that's my thing. But we talked about this today in the taskless environment, right? With the commercial. It's why, guys, typically, even in the commercial realm, there's a representative of the property owner or the parking lot or whatever you want to say, and then you're an extension and a representative of them. So if you can take away all of their headache and make their life easier, it gives them more time to sit back and do whatever they desire to do or whatever's more important on to the next thing, because their task list isn't just the parking lot. It's probably the facility, right? And that means plumbers and electricians and the carpenter and the painter and the this. And that parking lot is a small little thing. So when we go into that environment, typically in our industry, we don't have a super hard competition. You know, we are the ones. We are the one leading the industry. Everybody on this group right now is the contractor that's delivering immense value. And when we can take that to the property manager or whoever it is, and we can take that and deliver them a seamless experience, and they know we show up, we can communicate well, we can do these things. It's why Victor's winning proposals at more expensive prices. And we don't sit there and worry about the market price or what the competitor's doing or whatever it is. We say, how do we build friends with the person, and how do we make their life be continuously easier, where they don't have to think about one less thing on a reoccurring basis and on a right now basis. And if you can do that, market price doesn't matter. None of these competitor price doesn't matter. It matters about, are you getting the job done? Are you making that person's life easier? And there's been models throughout history where before, guys, it used to be the maintenance manager used to get a bonus if they would save money. And this is like pre-2000s, right? Whoever's managing the facility, if they get a $250,000 budget and they say they only spend $100,000 and there's $150,000 left, typically that person would see a percentage of that leftover revenue. But then you give that some trial period, all of a sudden the facilities aren't getting maintained, and now they're not spending the money because all the property managers are getting bonuses. So they got rid of that model. And now it's, hey, we're going to allocate $250,000 a year. But if they don't spend $250,000, they start cutting their budget. So for you to come in and deliver them a headache-free experience at a premium price, it allows them to spend budget. And typically what they do is sometimes, even if you're the most expensive, they might put off you to the back end. And in September is where you start seeing this real kick up. And all of a sudden, when there's $100,000 sitting there, now it's not, hey, can you do this service? They call you and they say, hey, we have $100,000 to spend. What can you do for us? And that's a real reality, guys, of being able to just like not be lost in the sauce down to the bottom of the barrel in the competitive market and what the gypsy's going to put down, right? Like, stand apart, deliver value to these guys. And I promise you, it's not even, be your own competition. Price at your own price range. What is going to drive your company forward? What is going to let everybody have the proper tools, training, health insurance, benefits, trucks that's going to let you do well at your job and let employees be attracted to you and let large facilities say, hey, we need to call these guys. I encourage every single one of you guys, if you're not thinking in that manner, to make sure you wrap your head around that.
Wow, that's awesome. Just so you know, today I talked to a government agency who was trying to spend the rest of their money. I was like, sure, here we go. Let's go. Load it up. So it happens. I know it does. That's amazing.
It's more if it fits budget than if it fits their expectation or the market. And that's 100% real life. That was absolutely well said, Skylar. That was a huge value. Huge value.
Thank you. And if it doesn't fit budget this year, guys, get them the numbers, because it's what happens is now they say, okay, we have $250,000. Actually, Mr. Corporate, we need $400,000. These guys need to do our parking lot. And what they do, next year's budget is $400,000. And who do they call? They call you, because you delivered a great experience and they want to have a headache-free problem. So they call you.
And by being the guy that they like to talk to, they'll say, well, hey, if you can get these repairs done for less than $20,000, I can approve this. And then next year, we're going to do this larger scope of work because I need to go get my CapEx money in line, and I got to put the budget straight for next year. But I know that if I know that I can get it approved for 20,000 or less, so see what you can fit in there for that. Those are the conversations that I love to get to. Those are the big aha moments that really can make it great. Skylar, you can turn up from there.
Fun. Yeah, 100%. The credit. Hey, I know certain facilities. Okay, I can keep it up under 4,700, and it's on the credit card. I know at this facility, as long as I keep it under 50,000, it's approval inside the facility. After 50,000, we need to split it up into separate codes because one's CapEx and one's improvement. You know, like put the line painting, add one line, it's improvement money. Now we're at that. It's like
the guy that runs the fancy car dealership in town. He always has a $5,000 limit on his Amex that he can do anything quick. So just know that if your line striping job is $4,900, he's probably just gonna put it on his Amex, and then he's gonna get shit from the CPA later. But that's it. Like that's what happened.
Can we get Michael's question answered, maybe? Michael, you got a question, brother?
Yeah. I was digging all that. It sounded good. So I'll start off with the win. We had landed one of the property managers, and we used the CARE approach, the winning AK experience there, and that one turned into 6. So that's cool. And so that was fun. Now following that up, Skylar's throwdown sparked another question. So I actually have 2 questions. So one is, with delivering this, what would be the proper position or to say, here's what to expect after line striping? what are like some of those like just touch points you would definitely mention, to a customer that you just delivered that to?
I would say it would be conditional on what type of paint you're using. I guess there's a bunch of variables, right? Is there crack there? Is there rubber where the paint's going to be? Was it previously crack sealed? Those are factors, just like the seal coat, right? Like, yeah, rubber and paint will adhere for a temporary time, but as soon as you get a car or two that drives over it, it starts cracking up and flaking off. So that's a variable. I don't know what that lot is, or what type of product, if you're using solvent or if you're using, waterborne. Those are two variables too, where you get a little bit of difference on some of those. One can be a little bit thicker and smoother and shiny, and one can be a little bit more flat, so those would be things. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, there's so many variables there, like, concrete or asphalt or.
Okay. But as far as Pro Seal is concerned, you don't have like a standard sticker you would say, like, here's what to expect after line striping and hand them that. I noticed you had one with seal coating, but I was just wondering if you had one, but not with line striping.
Yeah, I just give them like pretty much time frames, and then again, probably on a lot to lot basis, because it is so a little bit different. On like hey, if there's crack fill, the paint probably won't stick, but that's typically, I'm doing that in the pre-inspection walkthrough, because paint is kind of straightforward, but you do have those slight variables. Anthony, do you have anything? Do you set any expectations with line stripe? You're muted, bro.
No, not with line striping. We're typically on site, or I'll make sure that someone's on site until the lot's drivable. If there's people using it. If it's not, we're shutting it down. Like, first thing on your SOP should be create a safe work environment or zone, right? So that's definitely what we're doing, is making sure that there's no traffic inside those areas when anything would be movable. But we don't have a leave behind. We don't have an automated email that goes out specifically talking about line striping. But I'm excited to see a lot more people build a line striping company and then build a business around it. I know that that's definitely where my head was at when we went to Pennsylvania. I watched a young guy teach about 50 people how to line stripe, and it was encouraging to realize that is such a standalone business that a lot of us overlook. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I know there's a couple of those here in Dallas. That's all they are, is line stripe only. Of course, we've already established, using the coaching and stuff, doing kind of the asphalt maintenance, pavement asset management type of approach. So bringing potholes into it and line striping seems to be like the first two pieces we're going to deal with. I was looking at cracks, but the problem with cracks is that the cracks come for a reason, and us fixing a crack will not necessarily fix the reason. And as we're already hearing trouble with cracks with Emory Construction, and we're hearing and I was like, and I'd said that a little bit back, because I had someone local do some pricing on my folks' driveway just to see what a residential crack repair would look like, and their thing is destroyed with all the concrete. And they do this parking lot so big, their driveway is so huge out back. They said like $3,000. I was blown away, because in my estimation, it was like more like in 10,000 maybe, getting all this stuff. And then so then we were checking back. They were doing like the raise it foam approach kind of stuff. And once again, it's like there's so many approaches to how do you do something, and what's best and what's long term. So we've just kind of ducked away from cracks, and we're just doing pothole and line stripe.
Yeah, so I think you got enough to focus on right now. It sounds like you're headed in the right direction.
Thank you. So then the second piece of that, even with, being, kind of a noob in the game, this being the rookie year and such, what we're seeing is, hey, if we get 6 in a row, and I'm already looking at like 30 acres worth of property and striping, plus some sidewalk touch up, no one's going to be ringing the phones during that time, so it's going to be a lull. So we're going to already have like a period of time we're not going to have work, just because there ain't no one demand anything. So, and I was like, well, I need to start resolving some of that. And then when we were out at the PA thing, I remember Coach Judd was talking about, with with sales in particular, not to necessarily bring them on as W-2 employees, but more of this independent contractor style. And so that was really my second question was, what was really the intent there? You know, what I'm talking about. Do you remember what type of contractors he was referring to, or what that type of structure was?
Is that when you were talking about VAs, or when we were talking about Judd likes to see commission off top line revenue as a business owner? You might want to think about doing it off a net profit. And I know that Judd might jump on the phone call now that I said that, but
I've been part of both of those, just so you know. I've worked both ends of that sales cycle.
Yeah,
whether it's it's net revenue. Like I used to work with a company first 5 years there. I worked off net revenue, like net profit. I had a specific amount that I would, so every job I made sure down to the penny that I was nailing every single portion of it. That kept me really accurate on my numbers for the crew going out doing projects. I need to make sure that I was calculating everything right for hours, access to sites, because these are mine sites, and I was dealing with everything, full project management on my side of it. Now working for Asphalt Kingdom, I work on top line revenue. So you can hire somebody depending on which way you go at it, either way, but you need to make it so that at one point or another, that guy is working his buns off or her buns off to make sure that you're making profit. And that comes down to whatever that percentage is. I need to make sure it's valuable enough for me so that I go out and hunt those jobs, period. And number two, if you're going to run it the other side of it, that guy accurately quotes whatever you're giving him, whatever project he's quoting, so that it makes revenue for the company. So the responsibility changes just slightly there, if you look at it.
Yeah, there's got to be some safeguards in place, just like that property manager that was not exhausting the budget in order to keep as much of that budget as possible. That's the fear as a business owner, right? That you're going to have someone go out and sell a $750,000 job for $200,000 because they're comfortable with the profit on it, or comfortable with the commission on it. So there's got to be some safeguards in place and some minimum unit pricing and stuff like that. So some people call those spiffs. If you get above and beyond a certain unit price, you can earn a spiff off of that added income.
Another thing you can add is if you start to understand your numbers really well, talk to Skylar about that. That's huge. You can start to understand that you can put together spreadsheets where they just put in, they're putting in square footage, linear feet, whatever that looks like, and it spits out a number. So they're not controlling that end result. So that may be more in line with, let's say, a top line revenue type guy, because all I care about is I hit 50, 100 guys at a time trying to quote those things. That's all. My whole goal is to quote that job, period, and then follow up. Hopefully that helps.
We're getting some static on yours.
I think if there's one big thing, I think like Judd's biggest takeaway with it, I don't necessarily know if he cares top line or bottom line. It's the risk of paying someone a consistent salary without performance, right? Is that person performing or not, right? And again, I've seen it done very successfully. We know someone that's quoting millions of dollars a month that has a livable base salary plus commission, right? And the thing is, he's cranking out quotes and it's still working for him, and he's giving commission off of net. And then we know some guys that are giving, commission off of top line and it's still working, but it's, is someone performing or not? And I believe you'll see that in a very short window, 30 to 90 days. If you get someone in the sales seat, you're going to know, are they driving the business forward and is revenue moving, or is conversion rate increasing? And if not, they're probably just not the right fit, and you're going to just have to move on to the next person. And that's just, the sales world. It's an individual personality test person. That person is motivated by their own sales and success, which you need to learn how to drive the company forward and drive that individual forward for you both to meet your own goals, which goes back to that.
So let me ask a question on that there, pertaining to the striping there. I know that Mike was saying something about he want to go with the striping and the asphalt repair potholes. As far as the striping concerned, would it be beneficial to charge by per stripe when you want to go ahead and try to do an estimate on a job? Do it per stripe or do it per job? If you say you can get this job done in 2 to 3 hours, let me go ahead and do a base pay on me finishing the job, or would it be beneficial for you to do per stripe if it got 20 stripes in the parking lot? which one would be beneficial, to go and do it individual by stripe or do it by the time, how long it takes for you to finish the job?
In my world, in the Smoothway world, we can only really do it by stripe because not having really the gumption on being able to say, here's the job. I don't know if I'd be underbidding, overbidding, but I have all of my coaching right up to par with per line, per stripe, measuring it out. So I know exactly everyone's getting treated evenly. But I like the concept of doing a per job. If I actually understood like a better just guesstimation in my own imagination, then I could say, hey, I know it's going to be around 4K. Then you turn around and say, hey, for 5K, I'll do it right now. And they shake on it, then yeah, it's on. That sounds, really cool and smart in its own way.
Right, right.
So
I think that's what
what I do is I have kind of like break periods, if that makes sense. So I have minimums that I charge. Like right now, if you tell me show up to my parking lot and paint 5 lines in a handicap, I'm charging you $950 to $1,250.
Depending on
at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you got to hook up your trailer. That's going to take you 20, 30 minutes. Hook up the trailer, load the paint machine, put the paint in the trailer. You're going to drive 30 minutes to the job. You're going to set up. You're going to get there. You're going to get your paint machine out. You're going to get it primed. You're an hour and a half, 2 hours into this thing, and you didn't even lay a line yet.
So Skylar, you got a base fee that you charge no matter what, right? Right off the rip.
100%. And then, of course, when you're in the commercial world and there's 10,000 lines on a parking lot, it's super easy to do a takeoff on lines or lineal foot, and you can put that into a calculator and it'll spit it out. But, what I do is I do quote unquote generic pricing. So I can still quote a parking lot by square feet, lineal feet, and all this stuff, but I run that against what it takes my company to operate on an hourly basis. So if I know, you guys, I think we get so much missed costing. We look at it and we'll say, oh, this job's going to take me 30 minutes. So we price it for an hour worth of work. But really, there was an hour beforehand of setup. And then you never charged for the sale either. How long did it take you to go out and estimate the parking lot? That's got to get factored back in. So it's an hour for the sale. It's an hour for the setup. It's an hour for the job. It's an hour for the cleanup. Now you're 4 hours of charge time, billable time into that job that only took you 1 hour. And that's what you need to be bidding for. So it's just making sure you're doing that is the biggest thing.
So the answer, Donald, is kind of both. Is what you kind of want to kind of grab from what Skylar's saying. The theory is that you don't want to only do one and shortchange yourself. I had an employee that came on a few years ago. He was about 5 years ago, and he had a lot of experience working for a lot of different contractors in my area. And when he would see an invoice, he would say, Anthony, you're charging $1,100 for this? This is a $300 job. And I would say, so show me a contractor that's doing this job for $300, and I'll show you a guy that can't maintain his equipment. I'll show you a guy that is factoring out where he's going to work in the wintertime. He doesn't have branding. He doesn't have online advertisement. He doesn't have a lot of the things that it takes to actually have a sustainable business. He's going out with one thought only, is how much is my markup on materials? And everything else is unrealized. So it comes from that. You'll spin your tail for the rest of your life trying to figure out where all the money went, right? I did X amount of dollars this year. Where'd all the money go? You blew it before you ever made it.
82% of contractors make less than 10% bottom line. So that means if you're making $1 million, you're making less than $100,000 at the end of the year. I teach everybody, and again, a lot of people, it almost sends shock through my body to hear someone say, well, I'm new. I can't, my overhead's lower. And I'm like, but you need to learn how to price accordingly, because at the end of the day, if the guy that's worth $5 million is pricing at that point, that's how you get there. You have to price the way he does, because if that guy is, pricing to accommodate new vehicles and all of these things, again, employees factor into that because you have production rate, which can change. But, really, to be honest with you, if you're not charging $100,000 owner salary for yourself starting out, you're doing yourself a disservice. That's $55 an hour. That's 72 something with labor burden. So if you're not charging $72 an hour in just overhead for the company to operate, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to charge $72 an hour, and that means not a single piece of equipment, no single piece of overhead, no single piece of material, or for you to go out and do the job. So
Scott,
like,
I tend to charge $100 an hour on my landscape company. I told you I've been running my landscape for 25 years. I start out at $100 an hour.
Yeah, Donald's got tray ceilings. He knows how to make money.
Yeah, and it's just recognizing depreciation too, right? Like adding that stuff back in, the actual job costs. So if you're charging $100 base, that means you need to add everything else back on top of that now. You need to add another $35 an hour for the person actually out in the field, plus the 72, plus the equipment, plus the fuel, plus the shop rent.
Good deal.
Like
Good
most
deal.
people start to see their hourly overhead costs and they're like, oh my gosh, I just started out and it's $200 and some an hour. I'm like, yeah, you haven't even started yet.
And see, like even when I go out and do estimates for landscape, my company do waterfalls, pergolas, fire pits, the whole brand new beautiful oasis. I charge for my consultation fee. I don't just go out there for free. You got to pay for my time, just like what you were saying. So it's just a whole situation, just taking that to another level and taking that same concept to doing the striping as well.
Do it all over again.
Yeah.
100%, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Awesome job. We are a bit over time here, guys. I don't know if there's anybody else that has a question. I know that Alex DeBlanco, you had a question, your hand up for a while there. I want to make sure that you get included if you do have one still.
We get carried away, Alex.
We do.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask quick. So I'm gonna go look at this job tomorrow. So I don't know too much about it right now, but it's at a condo complex, and there was a big gas leak on this asphalt. This one company went and they said that they did a clean 2 times, and now the owner of the property or whatever is not happy with it. They can still kind of see like the stain of the where the gas was. So it's in one parking stall that goes into like the drainage area right in the center of the condo complex. And they were thinking seal coating is the best way to do this. I use asphalt emulsion, the water base. I don't know if that's going to adhere properly, or if I have to swap to the oil base, or if that's not even something I should do at all.
From one room to another, I wouldn't crack fill around there with open gas.
The thing that you're going to want to look out for too, Alex, is you want to do a hardness test, and you want to actually probe that asphalt in a few spots and see if it's been compromised. If it's been compromised and it's actually saturated with petroleum enough to soften it with a tool, like use a metal prod, use a flathead screwdriver, and go around and see if different areas inside that, the conspicuous area and the non-conspicuous areas, see if they have different hardnesses. And it may need to be replaced inside that area. And if it doesn't, you're definitely going to have a hard time having asphalt base stick anywhere. I've been using asphalt based emulsions since 2011 exclusively, haven't switched back and forth. And if you can get the hardness test to pass and you're not afraid of it being totally saturated, then you're going to need to prime that 100%. So you can find petroleum sealers. They're petroleum primers, and it's meant for this type of thing. You will, if you're going to broadcast it over top the area, get that to cure and fully cure, and then put the sealant on top of it. But you're going to want to test some spots of it, because it could be a little bit different shininess, or the glossiness may be different inside the area that you treated with the petroleum sealer compared to the bare asphalt with just the asphalt emulsion. Does what I say make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that.
You will not get away without priming it if it did pass the softness test or the hardness test. If it's ready to be sealed and it's not soft, you will 100% have to put petroleum sealer on it.
Anthony, one thing too, right? With that primer, you almost get a smoother spot as well, because now you're putting a primer in there as a base layer, And sometimes if they're already upset with that shadowing and then you make a spot smooth, and yes, you make it all black, but you have an aggregate change now. So that spot that's primed is smooth, almost tennis courtish, and the spot that's unprimed is, still the asphalt coarseness. Like, they might be upset with that. So it's another one of those expectation things to set of like, hey, you still might be able to see something like this underneath. It's not going to be a, whatever, a dark, heavy spot like this gas is, but it might be like a, hey, this is a little bit more rough and this is a little bit more smooth, but it's all black, so it's easier on the eye.
But it's protected. Yes. That's you want to sell them on the protection. Yeah. And thank you for putting that in the chat. Matthias put
is that what it was?
That product in there.
Yeah, it's called bitumen cold joint sealer. I was thinking that's probably what you're talking about. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe it is.
And he can get that in Canada too. So
right on. Thank you very much for that.
Turn in your toonies and your loonies for it.
Anthony, I don't know if that one is it. That's tack in a can, bro.
Oh, it might. Well, you can use tack, but you want to use a petroleum-based sealant or a petro sealer. So we'll take a look at it. We'll make sure you have the right one, Alex.
You'd be better to answer on that with the AE, but it's tack. It's can tack.
We'll do a quick science lesson. Okay. Asphalt emulsion is an open loop hydrocarbon. It's still a hydrocarbon, but it's open loop. So that means it can let solvents in much easier than coal tar. Coal tar is what's known as a closed loop hydrocarbon. So it's much more stable when it comes to solvents because it actually doesn't let it inside the molecule. It's closed off. It has like a fortress. But asphalt emulsion is an open loop. And so any kind of solvent can get in there and flush it away, and it can dissolve it much, much faster. So the biggest difference between those two types of sealants is its chemical resistance.
That's huge. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to go take a look at it tomorrow, and then I'll reach out with photos and we'll kind of go from there.
Let's turn this into a lesson because the people they're going to find this in small isolated areas. Most of the time it's not going to be widespread like it sounds like you're going to run into, but put those in the round table, put them on the Facebook group so people can get some good visibility of how you walk yourself through this. You can be a real shining light for everyone and be a lighthouse as even more than you already are, Alex.
Thank you.
Awesome. Amazing. All right, everyone. I think we've come to the end of this amazing session today. We missed Judd, but you guys did a phenomenal job of filling in. We really appreciate each one of you for, first of all, the questions you guys all asked, and then also the coaches for providing some of those awesome, amazing answers. Thank you so much for that, everyone. Yeah. So we got another week to go before we got another one of these, and Judd will be back as well. I appreciate you guys all jumping in today, and thank you for everything you guys do every single day being lighthouses, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everyone.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good
y'all. Thank you.